Well, hello YouTube. We're back for another beer review. This time something a little different. Something I had a little bit extra cash on me, so I decided to splurge and buy a Mill Street Winter Sampler Pack. Now, this is one of those. This sort of follows the line of the dodgy ones they sort of release. Like they'll release their sort of seasonal sampler pack once in a while, which will have like two different beers in it or whatever, three of each, which is cool. I really like that. But then they have their sampler packs that have like six different beers in them, and usually they're lackluster because you've had most of the beers in them already, and the one or two interesting beers in it, new to you, you have to end up paying out a lot more money for than what you should be paying for them, really, for the privilege to be able to try them, right? For instance, you'll get a lot of the ones, previous ones would have like, they'd have their tank house, which is great. I always love tank house. But then they'll have like their organic lager or whatever, which is just sucks. And they'll have like their tea beer, which wasn't all that impressive to me. And sometimes they'll throw something else weird in there. But this time around, it was actually probably their first really good version of their six different beer pack, sampler pack. The winter sampler pack for this winter. It has their Weizenbach, their Distillery Ale. Those are the two basically brand new ones. Then it has their Cobblestone Stout and their Vanilla Porter in the nitro cans. And then it has a Tank House and, of course, an organic lager. They keep having to throw that one in. It's almost like they're throwing it at people because no one's buying it or something. I don't know. Perhaps the sales are good. I'm just speculating. But anyway, we're going to try Distillery Ale from Mill Street. It sits at 5.8% alcohol by volume. This is categorized as an old ale. Now, you say, Lee, 5.8%, that doesn't sound like an old ale. Well, what you may not know is that old ales can range from about 4% to up to 12%. Not all old ales are necessarily in the barley wine style. That's just the more popular one that you see everywhere because, everyone loves big beers these days. The big beers that have cellared for a long time, that have had natural yeast get into them, that have been sitting for, large periods of time in big wooden casks and stuff. That's the sort of thing when you think of. That's what I think of, honestly, when I think of old ales. But there is another side to old ales. There's a more apparently they're just about as malty, but lower in alcohol, not necessarily having all those fruity flavors that a lot of old ales have. Like the fruitcake character or the orange marmalade, things like that. So I'm interested in trying this, see what I think. I don't think the Albino Rhino and his crew liked this one. I seem to recall they didn't like this one. I can't remember, but we'll see for ourselves, see what I think of it, because I like some of the stuff in this that I think the Albino Rhino doesn't really like anyway. So it says on the description, a copper-colored English-style old ale made with floor-malted pale malt and a whole pile of English Fuggles and Goldings hops. See, I love that stuff. Old ales are similar to barley wines, only smaller, very balanced and drinkable. So basically a more drinkable, sessionable barley wine, I guess. And this was brewed to celebrate the opening of their new micro distillery at their Toronto brew pub, which is cool. And it says ingredients: water, malted barley, malted wheat, hops, and that's it. So we'll see what we think. That's enough there. All right. Yeah, she's straight up copper color, sort of a reddish copper. Almost, you could call it an amber ale, really, just by appearance. It's that coppery looking. Yeah, it looks nice in the glass. Looks like you're definitely a little bit of bubbles going up there. Just a little bit of a head. It certainly looks the part of sort of like an English style bitter of some sort. So we'll go right to the aroma. Definitely getting malt up front. That's mostly what I'm getting. A little bit of malt, Uh, the sort of, the pale malt sort of thing coming in, sort of slightly caramelly, biscuity kind of thing going on. Getting a little bit of the hops in the background. A little bit of the Fuggles and the Golding. Just a nice earthiness coming up in the back. Also, you do kind of detect the wheat too. There's a bit of that mustiness that a wheat in the malt will tend to give. Smells okay. It's very light. Definitely the modern perception of what a old ale is. You go smelling this, and you're familiar with real, well, not real, but the more popular style of old ale these days that 8% and up. This doesn't really smell anything like those. This smells more like a standard British bitter to some degree. Definitely much more mild than your barley wine style old ale. So, go right to the taste. Cheers. That's not bad. It's malty, about medium bodied. Lower medium body, I guess. Slight biscuity malt note up front. A little bit of that wheat mustiness in there. Hops take over right away. Something in the background I can't quite place. It finishes sort of like soda water in a way. Soda water mixed with the hops. Like, it's just basically the hops and then this sort of watery soda water kind of thing going on. Seems to be drying out my mouth too. The hops, I guess, is probably what's doing it, giving this sort of powdery dryness to my mouth. Makes me want to drink more. Getting a slight caramelly kind of thing going around the sides of my mouth. Not a big lingering hop finish. I was kind of hoping for that, actually. Hoping maybe the Fuggles and the Goldings would come out a bit bigger, but it's still not bad. It's not particularly special or anything. I'm not getting any of the alcohol. It's 5.8%, so it's a little bit more up there than. It's getting to the point where you expect to maybe detect it. Almost a creaminess to it in the mouthfeel. It's not bad. This is definitely for people who like the more earthy Goldings and Fuggles type hops. If you're into beers with that sort of character, this is probably for you. It's not particularly exciting or complex or anything like that. It's just decent. It's really decent. I kind of wish there was maybe a bit more hop bite to it, but if they did that, it would probably be closer to their Tank House Ale at that point, so why even bother? This would be, if you're a fan of the Tank House Ale and you just want some sort of alternative that's maybe not quite as hoppy at some point, I don't know why you would want to, but if that was on your mind, this ain't a bad one. But it's not wowing me particularly. Mill Street's Distillery Ale. It's decent. Worth picking up the pack for. Excuse me. Sound like an old 50-year-old woman who smoked all her life there for a second. We'll see how the Weizenbach goes, and then I'll give my definitive verdict on the pack. But it's not a bad beer. It's worth trying if someone, you go half and half on the pack with somebody just to try that one or something like that. It's worth trying. Oh, 3.25 out of 5. It's just not anything amazing, that's all. Alright, guys. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.